Welcome back to Murder with the Missus. I'm Darren.
And I'm Amy. And today we're going to tell you about Todd Kendhammer.
Don't forget to smash that like button. Check out the description for the links of all of our podcast platforms, Cash App, and Buy Me a Coffee. Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to tell your friends. Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Got past all the Valentine chaos. Of course.
Chaos?
Yeah.
I've been trying to talk everybody into celebrating holidays after the holidays, so everything's discounted.
Oh, yeah. Everything's discounted. You get better pricing and everything because, you know, the stores, box stores and everything, they bought everything up in bulk.
Yep.
And so they got to get rid of it.
I'm trying to have Christmas on the 26th. I'm trying to have Valentine's Day on the 15th.
Yeah, usually like 1-2 days, that stuff's like 50% off.
Right?
I mean, that's how you do it.
I mean, you might get something random.
That's the real Valentine's Day.
That's
15th or 16th.
Yes. Show your love at a discounted rate.
Yeah.
You get more that way. Right?
But anyway, I was talking to a guy the other day and he's like, crap, man, I forgot it was Valentine's Day. And I was like, oh, you in trouble? I mean, like me, we don't really celebrate it that much. We do, but we don't. So
every day's Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Every day's a joy to be with me.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm here. You're welcome. Good Lord. See what I deal with?
Yeah.
All right, we're going right into it. I'm going to cut this
it
off. We are in La Crosse County, Wisconsin, and we're talking about Todd and Barbara. They were both born in March of 1970 and first met at Todd's cousin's wedding. Barbara had a boyfriend, but that didn't work out, so Todd got his shot. They ended up getting married in 1991. They had a son, Jordan, and a daughter, Jessica. Everyone said that they had a good relationship. Their son-in-law describes their marriage as perfect. Barbara's best friend said that they were always having fun together, laughing, holding hands, and just enjoying each other's company. Barbara's sister, Barbara's brother, said it was a very, very...
Nope.
He said it was a very, very good relationship. So good that he used 2 veries. So that's pretty good. I mean, very, very good.
But was it?
But was it? It never is, right?
Every time when we've ever told a story, it never is what it says.
Never on like face value.
Yeah.
Don't.
I mean,
don't.
it sounds great.
Sure, on paper.
But
Todd,
it never is.
it never is.
Anyway.
Todd had worked at different places, but was at Crown Cork and Seal at the time that this took place. So they make aluminum cans.
Oh.
What'd you think it was?
I thought it was like Crown.
Not Crown Royal. I
was like, sweet.
It's like, speaking of discounts.
I was like, nice.
Now, he would also do windshield repairs and replacements at their house for extra money. And he and Barbara had flipped a couple of houses. Barbara was a very punctual employee at the middle school cafeteria, and Jessica had just had their first grandchild. The kids actually had just thrown them a surprise 25-year wedding anniversary party, and they were actually together for 28 years at that point. And I don't know why people only count from the time the government gets involved in the relationship. I never understood that.
No, I mean, you know, we should get credit from the time served.
That's right.
I mean.
Absolutely. We count all the time.
Yeah. No, we've been together since 98.
Yeah. The government didn't get involved until
I don't
06.
care what the paper says.
Exactly.
I have been in this. We have been in this. Sorry.
Whoa. I'm here too.
Yeah.
We've been in this for going on 27 years.
27 years.
Why are you crying?
Oh, sorry. 27 years.
Tears.
Happiest years of my life.
Bro, we're going to have to talk after this. No. So this brings us to Friday, September 16th of 20.
That's the help sign.
I can't remember.
That's what I was doing.
Oh, it's this.
Oh, damn it. I was just telling them, go forward.
If you ever see somebody doing this out in public, they need help. Okay.
27 years.
Stop it.
And what if you have arthritis, man? Because I can't really do that.
Well, then you just look like you're doing sign language to somebody or making shadow puppets. It doesn't look the same.
Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. This brings us to Friday, September 16th of 2016. The weather was overcast and a little rainy, but they still had plans to go camping that weekend. It was an annual camping trip that they took to go to Barbara's favorite festival. If you don't stop, I can see you out of my peripheral.
Sorry.
They did everything together, kind of like me and this guy. Todd made Barbara breakfast in the mornings, got her giant water jug filled with water. He usually drove her to work.
Sorry.
Oh, bite your finger off.
My bad.
Anyways, she had one of those big, I used to have one, like the big Bubba jug.
For the people that are listening to the audios, I was making hand puppets.
Yeah, he's making hand puppets.
Yeah.
And attacked me. I'm just saying. His hand puppet was coming straight at my face. I'm just saying.
That was my rooster.
That was a rooster?
Yeah. Can you see it?
Oh, I can.
Yeah. Rooster. Get a good angle on it. Rooster.
It's hard to hone him in sometimes.
Sorry.
Anyways, so I used to have one of those big Bubba jugs. Do you remember that? It was like a 50-something ounce jug.
Yeah.
It's like steel around the middle.
Big bubble gulp.
Yes. There's a picture of it on the screen. You can probably see it in the little tiny thumbnail. But so he filled her jug with water, and he usually drove her to work if he wasn't working that morning. He coordinated his breaks with her breaks so that they could talk on the phone throughout the day. He would text her to call him when she got off work if he wasn't picking her up that day. Like I said, they did everything together. And this morning was no different. Todd had just switched to the night shift to help a coworker out, and he was starting that Friday night. So they did their routine because Barb had to be at work at 8 a.m. But this was not a typical morning. By 8:05 and some change, Todd was calling 911. Cell records show that it was at 8:06, but the 911 call system shows it was like 8:05, 30-something seconds. So it was in between 8:05 and 8:06. He ended the call abruptly, so they called him back. He says on the call that a pipe came through the windshield and hit Barbara, saying it got her and she's hit in the head and in the throat, I think, in the throat or something. She's got blood coming from her nose and mouth. And he says that she's not breathing.
Damn. That's like some Final Destination stuff.
Exactly. That's exactly what that was.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So is that, I mean, yeah, and that picture's on the, here, I'll show it. It's in the bottom right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the windshield.
And that was pipe?
That's the pipe. That's the actual pipe.
Oh, it's
next
actually,
to it.
Oh, that's the pipe sticking out.
No, it's just a picture of the pipe.
Okay, so that's in the bottom left of the picture. I know in the audio, you guys ain't going to see it, but you'll see it at the beginning of the video.
Right, and it's on the thumbnail. So if you just look at it. Yeah. So police and paramedics got there at around 8:09. So they were very fast. The car has the rear part in a ditch and the front tires are on the road. The passenger door is open. The windshield is busted or spidered. Mm-hmm. Barbara is laying on the incline of where the ditch meets the road with her head towards the road. Todd, who had been doing CPR on the phone with 911, was at her feet. Yeah. So they thought that was weird because he's trained in CPR and AED. So he knows how to do CPR properly.
Okay.
Barbara was taken to the hospital in an ambulance and police drove Todd there. The next day, very early in the morning, Barbara would pass away. Now, the police were suspicious from the start. Todd had told them that Barbara was supposed to be at work at 8:30 that morning. He said they left the house in Salem just after 7:30 and were just drinking water and bullshitting on their way. They were in Barbara's 2009 Toyota Camry and going northbound on County Road M in Holman. As they passed a 2000 model flatbed truck going southbound, the pipe came off of it from somewhere at the top, bounced off the road, and went through the windshield, hitting Barbara. She began flailing around and then went unconscious. Now, this truck had a makeshift, like steel flatbed, and it was dark blue or dark green. Maybe it was black. There were no logos or distinguishing marks on it. Now, at first he thought it was a bird that was flying towards them, but at the last second he realized that it was a pipe. He turned onto another road, tried pushing the pipe out of the windshield from the inside, but couldn't. He put the car in park, but it was actually in reverse, so it rolled backwards and into that ditch, so that's why the car was parked the way it was. He got out of the car, ran around to the passenger side, and pulled the pipe out, and then threw it behind the car.
Okay. So how big is this pipe?
And so the pipe is 53 inches long and weighs 10 pounds and 5 ounces. So it's not tiny.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a hefty thing. He opened the passenger door, pulled Barbara out, and tried CPR for 3 to 5 minutes before calling 911.
Okay.
But his story was not adding up. Police even took pictures of Todd at the scene. And he's wearing a white t-shirt with a cartoon mouse and donkey on it that says, "I don't give a rat's ass." And it has a lot of blood on it. He has bloody knuckles on both hands, more on the left hand than the right. He has scratches on both sides of his neck. So they start immediately looking for places in the area that could have surveillance footage. They need to find that truck before the footage is erased. And they find a place that shows the Camry go by on County Road M. What they don't find is footage of the flatbed truck.
Oh.
Todd had told them that Barbara had to be at work at 8:30, but she had a call from her boss on her phone at 8:02. That's because she was supposed to be at work at 8. It was always at 8. Something that someone who drove her to work regularly should have known. And she was so punctual that her being just 2 minutes late prompted her boss to call her to see what was going on. 2 minutes.
So he called at 8:05.
Right.
So she probably, would have been on time if all that didn't happen.
She would have probably been on time if they had been driving towards the school. But they were headed in the opposite direction.
Oh.
So they're like, why were you going that way? Another red flag.
Gotcha.
They did ask him what happened to his hands. Now he's got, every knuckle, and I'm talking both sets of knuckles on his left hand and his thumb have marks on them.
So all right, so I see where we're going.
And then the right hand is just a couple of the knuckles, not all of them, just a few.
Yeah.
So they ask him, they're like, what happened to your hand? And he told a story that changes multiple times. But for the knuckles, he said it was probably from him trying to push the pipe out of the windshield.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know about you,
Sure.
but I usually use my knuckles to push things around.
Yeah.
Like, why would you? Why? He also had scratches on both sides of his neck, remember? And he had one on his chest. And he said, well, I work with glass all the time, so that's probably why.
Well, you was driving our truck that one time and that pipe came off that truck, remember? And it hit the windshield.
No.
You don't remember that?
No.
Oh, well, I remember paying for the windshield.
I have a very bad memory.
But anyway, because you had Haley with you.
Oh.
And it hit dead center of the windshield.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't a real big piece of pipe. It was only like maybe 10 inches or whatever. But
right.
it didn't go. And you guys were driving. You was 65, probably more. And the other guy was probably the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing bounced off the ground and hit the windshield, but it hit the window and then bounced off.
Okay. Yeah.
And everything. It didn't go through.
Right.
But.
Because it's hard to go through a windshield.
But it's damn close.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I wish I remembered that when I was doing this story.
Yeah, no, that was, it's been a while. Haley was young. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Man.
That was in the black truck. The Z71.
Oh, okay. They don't know about that truck.
I'm just saying. I'm telling you which truck it was. That
I know.
way maybe you bring it into perspective for you.
Nope. Still here.
All right. Either way. So if he wasn't taking her to work, where was he going?
Okay. So he said that they were going to his friend Justin's house. He was picking up a truck that needed a windshield. The truck would be at the end of the driveway with the keys in it for Todd to pick up. And then Justin would come to his house when it was done and leave money under the deck to pay for it. So the cops, they tracked Justin down. Justin says he had no plans of leaving a truck that day for Todd to pick up. They had no plans to replace the windshield. He never leaves keys in vehicles, and he wasn't even home. He was on vacation. Todd?
Yeah, I know. Everything this guy is like, oh yeah, we're doing this. This is why we're doing it. And everybody else is like, no.
Not so much. Now
I have no clue what the hell he's talking about.
He did say that they had talked about a windshield about a month before this in the break room at work, but they had made no plans. They literally just talked about it. So they asked Todd about that, and then his story changed. Oh, it wasn't for Justin. It was for one of his friends, Ben. Now, Ben had a truck that he used on a farm, and he had talked about getting the windshield fixed, but decided not to. It was a farm truck, and he only used it on the land, so it didn't have to be street legal like that. But they talked to Ben, and he said he'd never talked to Todd. So the cops go back to Todd. They're like, okay, it wasn't Justin, and now it's not Ben. And Todd's like, okay. It wasn't Ben. It was Jerry.
Golly.
But he hadn't talked to Jerry. He didn't know where Jerry lived. And he said that he and Barbara had even drove around on Thursday night looking for Jerry's house, but they couldn't find it.
Just randomly driving around.
Just randomly driving around.
So at this point, had they been like, all right, you're coming with me?
Oh, we're getting there.
Golly.
He would later say that he didn't recall actually driving around on Thursday night, but he did recall telling the cops that. So he would, on the stand, they'd be like, didn't you lie? And he says, no, I didn't lie. And like, but you didn't tell the truth. And he was like, right, it was not the truth.
Golly.
Like, well, what the hell is it then? It's a lie. The police found out where Jerry lived, and they say that Todd was past where his house was when the incident happened. So they also put out a call to the community for anyone who was in the area at the time of the incident that may have seen that flatbed truck or anything, really. Someone came forward saying that he was on his way to a job site and passed the car a couple of minutes before Todd would have called 911. He saw the passenger door open, but he didn't see anyone around the car. He also says that the windshield was not busted.
Yep.
Now,
I saw that coming.
Yeah. Now, had he seen someone, or if the windshield was busted, he would have stopped because that makes it look like there was an accident. Otherwise, it just looks like someone got stuck in the ditch. And so that's what he thought, and he kept going. It would be 3 months later, on December 6th of 2016, that Todd would be arrested and charged with first-degree intentional homicide. Because along with Todd's ever-changing story, the autopsy and the evidence from the car didn't make sense. Whether there were 3 or 4 impacts on the windshield, depending on which expert you listen to or report that you read, there was definitely more than one. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, it took him a couple of, tries to get the pipe through the windshield.
Yeah, a couple tries to get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something to think about. Like, if there's more than one impact on the windshield, how could a pipe hitting it?
Here, I'll bring the, for the people that are watching the video, you can see where the first one hit, or maybe, well, you can definitely see the hole on the second one.
Right where Barb would have been sitting.
Yeah, in the middle one right there.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is he either picked this pipe up off the side of the road or he had it with him.
Okay. Now,
that's my guess.
You can, on that picture, you see two big impacts, but the experts are saying there was actually 3 to 4. They're just inside the other impacts.
Oh yeah.
So there was multiple.
So yeah. So my 3 to 4. Okay. Mm-hmm. So boom, boom. He's sitting there slamming just it until it goes through. That's the 3 to 4 impacts.
Okay.
All right.
Nice. Now they had an expert get on the stand.
There's 2 actual places, but they might have been hit 3 or 4 times.
Right. That's what. Yeah. So it's obvious that there's more than one.
2 impact points.
Yes. And they got an expert on the stand that went on and on about curvature and all the things about windshields.
Mm-hmm.
But so one of the impacts is in an area where the rear view mirror would be. It'd be right under where the rear view mirror is.
Yep.
Todd says that when he saw the bird pipe, that's what I'm calling it, the bird pipe, coming towards the windshield on the passenger side, he wasn't thinking, and he punched at it to try to deflect it.
But that's from the outside.
Yes, and they determined that the impact on that one is from the inside.
It is from the inside?
Yes. So they determined that he did probably punch it. And that's really probably what happened to his knuckles, he said. Now, instead of him trying to get the pipe out with his knuckles, now he's like, I'll punch the windshield. Yeah. And that's what did it. So his right hand was on the steering wheel and he punched with his left hand. That's how he described it in court. That's why the left hand was more busted up, but then he doesn't explain why the right hand was too. Anyways, the rearview mirror had a bloody fingerprint on the left side of it. So it had been displaced and then readjusted at some point after there was blood on his hand. Todd doesn't remember that part. Yeah, so he would have grabbed it. Probably a bloody thumbprint, or he could have pushed it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Todd doesn't remember that. So he had no explanation for why that bloody fingerprint was on there. So it was either when he punched the windshield, he may have hit that, which would make sense, or there was some type of altercation in the car that displaced that windshield or that rearview mirror. Either way, he took the time to readjust it. So they're like, all this is going on and you take the time to be like, I better fix that rearview mirror. Now the pipe was rusty and dirty. There was some glass and dirt in the passenger seat. Makes sense, right? Yeah. All in the passenger seat. Like no one was sitting in it, maybe. Like there's no void space, they're saying. where a body would have been. Because one of the other red flags at the scene was that there was no glass on Barbara. Even though she had been pulled out of the vehicle and he had done CPR on her and all those things, when you shatter glass, you get little splinters and things like that. Huh?
She was in the trunk?
She wasn't in the trunk.
Was she in the back seat then?
No. They're saying she was not in the car when the glass was broke. That she was already outside of the car.
Oh, I got you.
And then he was like, oh, I need to bust this windshield.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Another red flag was that there was glass fragments in the gear shifter housing. So this is one that's got a solid bottom. Like the one in the car that we drive, it has like a leather like material around it. So it moves around. This one was like solid plastic and it goes down the gear shifter.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying that the glass fragments that was in that housing
caused it not to go in the park.
They show that it was in park.
Oh.
If it had been in drive, when the glass hit it, there would have been no glass on that bottom part because when he put it back in park, that part that came out of the housing would have no glass on it.
And that would have caused it not to go back in the park.
Exactly.
I got you.
So they're saying that doesn't add up. There was no glass in the passenger side door map pocket or the storage cubby thing that's in the door. Mm-hmm. There was no glass in there. So they also believe that door was open.
That means the door was open.
That means the door was open.
I was just about to say that.
Yep. And so, it's not looking too good for Todd.
Yeah.
His story's not adding up.
Well, I mean, no, it doesn't. Everything he says so far is a lie coming out of his mouth.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
and
obviously he probably, I don't know. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but it sounds like he beat the hell out of her.
The problem with these too, when you listen to stories like this, is that every time he says something and they can prove that it's wrong, he comes up with something else.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it's Jerry. Oh, no, it's Todd. Oh, no, it's Benji.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just everybody. Oh, no, it's Billy down the I-20 going down 30.
Yeah. So he said it was Ben and then it was Jerry. And I was like, damn, now he's just in ice cream. He's ran out of names.
Yeah. It's that rocky road.
It was a moose tracks.
Anyway, we're going to take a short break. Play our, a little word from our sponsors. So just stick with us. We'll be right back to finish out this story. Did you hear what happened last night at the laundromat?
No, what?
Some clothespins held up a couple of shirts.
Oh, God. That's a good one. Now, when it's cold outside, do you like to pull out a pair of warm sweatpants straight from the dryer and put them on?
Yeah, it's nice and cozy.
Wouldn't you rather do that at home and not in a laundromat?
Oh, God.
If you live in an apartment and need a washer and dryer that only you can use, get a pin.
You can go to My Laundry Solutions, the #1 choice for washers and dryer rental.
They're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Springfield, Joplin, and Kansas City, Missouri, Sherman, Dallas, Houston, and Lubbock, Texas. Their newest location is in Fort Worth. They have more locations opening in Texas in 2025 and 2026. No credit check, free service, professional installation, and your account's available online, all for about $1 a day. Go to your leasing office, go to mylaundrysolutions.com, or call 800-535-4411.
Stop being taken to the cleaner and give them a call today. My Laundry Solutions.
We had some jokes.
We got jokes, people.
Okay.
You kind of got me on the sweatpants one, I ain't gonna lie, though. Whenever we was recording that one.
I'm telling you, there's a lot up here. You don't even know.
You just got to get it out.
Yeah, I just got to get it out. Now, they looked at the outside of the car, too. Barbara's blood was on the grass and on the rear passenger wheel. What? She was only bleeding from her head, and when they got there, she was laying where her head was towards the front of the car. Remember? So how did her blood get on the back wheel? He did say on the 911 call, should I get her next to the road? I'm going to try something with her. And then he puts the phone down. So it sounds like he moved the body. Why? I don't know. That ditch has tall grass in it, and police found a blade of grass in the rubber seal of the trunk. So they believe that he got into that trunk at some point when the car was already in the ditch. Mm-hmm.
I mean, did he get the pipe out of the trunk?
That's the question.
Because that's what I was already thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The same dirt and rust that was on that pipe was in the trunk. And the pipe had Barbara's DNA on both ends. How?
Yeah.
And I don't mean blood. There was actually no blood on the pipe.
Well,
How?
this is not looking good for old Todd.
It's not. It's not. And the ironic thing is that everyone is backing him up. His kids, Barbara's family, almost everybody is on his side.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the only person at the trial who spoke on Barbara's behalf was one of her cousins. And she was very adamant that Todd is guilty. They even spread people out on both sides of the courtroom because there were so many there to support Todd. And they number one, needed the seating. But number two, they just, I don't know. They say that the jury would have seen that as him having less support because, you know, one side is for the victim and one side is for the defendant.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this just really killed our chances because they spread everybody out. So it looks like Barb had more support. Okay. And there was another weird thing in the trial for me because after someone would testify, the judge would ask if either side had any more questions. And then he would ask the jury if they had any questions. And I've never seen that where they allowed the jury to ask someone on the stand a question. It was like very interesting.
That's kind of weird.
It is. They even got to ask Todd questions. So what they would do is write it down and hand it over. So you didn't know which juror it came from.
Well, now that I've heard of.
Have you?
I have heard of that, but it wasn't directly to him. I mean, it wasn't like directly to the person. It was like, I guess it was directly to the person, but it was more towards the lawyers asking the question.
From the jury?
Yeah. Yeah. So it was more of the jury, like, I need a little bit more information on this. So they would ask the question and pass it to it, and the judge would allow the lawyer to phrase it in a way.
Okay, I've never seen that either.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen it that way before, but I've never heard of them.
These were directly to the person on the stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Before they'd let them leave the stand, they were like, does anybody have any questions? And then they'd hand the note to the judge or whatever. He would read the question, and then that person would have to answer it before they could get down. They even did it to Todd. It's crazy. Now, it was brought up in trial that Barbara almost always called her mom in the morning on the way to work to check on her, but she didn't that Friday morning.
I guess it's more like clarification questions is
no,
what it would be.
I've seen them when they're in like deliberations. They ask questions. They'll like send it back to the judge, and then he'll ask the lawyers or whatever. But I've never seen it like in trial active while it's happening.
Yeah.
And there were tests done where they would drop a pipe off a flatbed truck, you know, just to see if they could make it happen. And it didn't quite do what Todd said it would.
No, I mean, it's like that's like 1 in a million. I mean, because
makes sense.
If it's going 65, like what happened to our truck and everything, I mean, it's like 1 in a million chance. I mean, that thing could have hit the grill. It could have hit the side of the truck. It could have hit ours hits dead center of the windshield, but it bounced off. It took it. And that was a lot of force.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the problem, is the force.
Now, there could have been that chance that it went straight through, but it didn't.
It didn't.
You know what I mean? Because it was more, I don't know, it has to be more, the trajectory of it has to be more spot on every time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's the problem.
And so it's like, it's that 1 in a million shot.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Now, one of these pipes that they dropped off did get to a height that maybe could have worked. But it would have had to bounce over 4 feet high to hit where it hit on that windshield.
Yeah, so that thing had to hit like on an angle and then been like, just spring up.
And plus, Todd had already changed his story on that at this point. Of course he did. Now he said it didn't bounce off the road, that it flew straight off the truck and into the windshield. Okay.
Straight off the truck into, well.
Yep. So they didn't bring that test into trial. They just completely left it out. The prosecutor was like, we don't even need it. We've got enough. But
so now he's saying that the truck was coming by him and the pipe was basically hanging.
No, it flew off somewhere towards the top, he said. So up high.
So basically, you know, the pro football player was in there just spiraling it out the back of the truck. I got you.
I guess so.
And it did a little nice arc.
Yeah. Plus they also had the autopsy report. Now, she did die of blunt force injuries, which is to be expected. It took a while to list off all of her injuries, but to sum it up, she had a skull fracture, a laceration to the left side of the back of her head.
Yeah, back of her head.
Back of her head. 2 lacerations to the right side of the back of her head. Her nose was broken. She had bruises and bleeding to the insides of her lips, top and bottom. And she had bruises all over. I mean, from between her eyebrows down to her legs.
Yeah. She's got the shit beat out of her.
Yep. She had crushed cartilage in her throat and scratch marks on her neck, too. She also had a couple of broken fingernails, like, I don't know, that matched up with Todd's scratches on the side of his neck. They had decided to donate her organs, so that was part of what defense used to show that she could have got some of those injuries in her medical care or when they were harvesting her organs. Todd also...
Yeah, so they're just sitting there just clawing at her.
Yeah, like that, because that's what they do.
That's what they do when they're, taking donations.
Yep.
I just rip them out.
Right. Now, Todd also had then told police that the way he got her out of the car was not nice. Police asked if he grabbed her by the arm or the leg. What did he mean by not nice?
I guess he grabbed her by the throat and drug her out and crushed her neck. And
whoops.
Yeah. Oh.
So they said, what do you mean by not nice? And he said, I've never, ever in 28 years, never touched her or grabbed her or raised my voice with her. And I was mad at myself for some reason. So they're like, that's a weird response.
Yeah.
Nobody said that you had touched her in the 28 years. Nobody said anything about that. So why is that your answer? So more red flags.
Yep.
He did say that Barb did not have those marks on her when they left the house that morning. So he did verify that. Yeah.
Okay. So how do they explain all the, all that to the back of her head?
To the back of her head, right?
So, I mean, that's what...
Well, they said that Barbara's basically a ninja. That she was riding along with that big ass Bubba jug in her lap because it won't fit in a cup holder, right?
Okay.
So she's obviously got to have it at her lap. She saw that pipe coming and had time to duck. And the pipe impacted the back of her head.
Okay, so it's a magic pipe now.
And then it skipped and hit the other side of the back of her head.
Okay, yeah.
Hard enough to fracture
55-inch pipe. 55-inch pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. 53. Semantics.
That was length, though.
Yeah,
that's
53-inch pipe.
Yeah.
Coming from a windshield. That's over 4 feet. Over 4 feet. It came in, swung around.
Swung around?
Oh, yeah. No, because it hit the back of her head.
Well, because she leaned forward, so it would have skipped. They said it would have skipped across her head.
It was like pop, 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 pop.
Yes, back and forth.
Yeah, hitting her on the back of the head. Basically, it was doing a drum roll.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Yeah, it's a magic pipe. Gotcha.
Yeah. So they're like, okay, so that's how you explain the back, which makes no sense. But what about that? There's like a...
We're gonna measure the distance between our windshield and the seat. I guarantee it's almost 4. I bet it's 4 foot. 48 inches.
Well, there was enough for Todd to grab it and pull it straight out from the windshield, he said.
That means less.
Yeah. But
anyway.
Also keep in mind that cartilage damage was like here on her throat. So down here, we'll post some pictures and you'll see a big circle on her throat. And that's where that cartilage was busted. So they're like, well, how'd she get that? How'd she get the broken nose? How'd she get the cartilage? And he said, or defense said, when she flung herself forward, she could have hit that Bubba jug, damaging her throat because, yes. And then maybe that shoved her into the dash, which would have broke her nose.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So that's fine. Maybe she did break her nose on the dash.
Maybe
it was from him grabbing the back of her fucking head and slamming it up against the dash.
Maybe right?
He had the Bubba jug and he slammed it into her face.
Let's talk about that. So there was a broken piece on that Bubba jug. So they know that something impacted it. And there was some blood on the dash, the console, and her seatbelt. That Bubba jug, though, was in the driver's side floorboard up against the center console when they found the car. So how'd it get over there?
Oh, with all the magic stuff that's happening.
Right?
There's no telling.
There's no telling. It's magic, too. All these magical inanimate objects. Prosecution proposes that maybe he punched Barbara in the nose and broke it. And then a struggle started. The wheel was possibly jerked, causing them to go into the ditch. And then he pulled her from the car and beat her. And that's how she got the bruising on the inside of her lips. They're saying because there was nothing on the outside.
Mhm.
So they're like, how did she get bruising on the inside? And their teeth weren't damaged, so they know the pipe didn't hit it. And they said that you can push against someone's mouth like that to maybe, I don't know, keep them quiet when a truck is slowly coming by and you're trying to keep that person quiet. And because of the teeth, it would cause bruising on the inside, not necessarily on the outside. Now, since someone has now seen the car, he has to do something to make it look like an accident. So he looked in the trunk and found the pipe.
Yep.
And then hit the windshield a couple of times to get it to go through. Then he threw the pipe and called 911 because her blood was found on the outside of the windshield.
Yeah.
If he pulled the pipe out before he did CPR or anything on her, how would he get her blood on him to when he pushed it into it to get it to go through the windshield? You know what I mean? Like, because obviously the blood on the outside would have had to come as cast off from him, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So he'd have to have hurt her first, got her blood on his knuckles, then hit the windshield with the pipe, and it would come off. That's what prosecution's saying.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. And there was question as to whether there was enough time for all that to happen. Because from the time they were seen on the surveillance footage going down that road to when he called 911 was literally like 3 to 5 minutes.
That's enough time.
So the prosecution honed in on the fact that a round in a boxing match is 3 minutes. A lot of blows can be dealt in 3 minutes. And he could have broken her nose, and when she leaned forward, he could have used that Bubba jug to do the damage to the back of her head.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. There was an alternative crime scene, too. The kids like to point out that they had a lot of guns at home, so why wouldn't he just do it there? But why would you do it there? With weapons registered to you, where your son lives with you. Todd left a little piece out of his timeline. Shocking, I know. But cell phone records showed that he and Barbara left the house and went to a neighbor's house that morning. Now, the neighbor wasn't there, so they've been taking care of her place for them, or her place for her. They were there for about 20 minutes. And Todd said on the stand that he's the only one that got out of the car. Barbara stayed in the car when they went to that neighbor's house for 20 minutes.
So maybe it happened there.
Maybe it happened there. And this is one of the things that the jury asked him when he was on the stand. When he got done, he had said that they'd went to the house, blah, blah, blah. And the jury asked, did Barbara get out of the car? Because I think what they were wanting to know was she able to get out of the car? Had he already hurt her at that point? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you could tell where they were going already. And maybe that's why he didn't take her to work. You know what I mean? Like he had no plans of taking her to work on time. Maybe that's why he was going out of the other side of town, trying to figure out what to do. Maybe he was trying to make it look like she had a car accident and that truck coming by foiled the plan. So now he had to come up with something else really quick in case they came back or called the cops. Who knows? And motive was a big thing. There really wasn't a clear motive. They did bring up that they found a $4,000 electric bill and a past due other bill, but Todd explained that away. Both bills were for flip houses that they were working on. So one of them was obviously the electric bill to one, and the other was for like a porta potty. Sometimes you have to wait until the house sells to be able to pay big expenses like that. And neither of them had a criminal history. They had no domestic violence claims. They had no history of depression. Todd was on anti-anxiety meds. And we know that because when he got called into the station after Barb died, he literally took one of his pills while he was sitting there. He said he hadn't been taking it, right? Because he's upset because of Barb. This is like, I think 3 days later. He hadn't been sleeping. He hadn't been taking his medication. And so as soon as he sits down, he's like, is it okay if I take this? So that, I don't know, maybe he wanted it to be on camera that he was under medication or stressed. So that way he can explain away why his story keeps changing or why he can't remember certain things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just thought it was really weird that he felt the need to do that while under surveillance. Like you could have done it on the way before you went. You could have, I mean, I don't know. You be the judge. Prosecution also pointed out that all the cute things showing that Todd and Barbara did everything together could actually point to Todd being controlling or possibly codependent. He was always texting her to let him know when she went on break, call him when she gets off work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But everybody said that they had a great relationship. Prosecution says that when you're known for that, it's actually hard to tell people that it might be not so perfect, or maybe that you're not as happy as people think you are.
Yeah. If if it's too good to be true, usually it isn't.
Usually it's not.
Yeah.
Usually it's not. The jury would end up finding him guilty. Yay. And it was yeah, they got this one right. Not like the one we did Tuesday with Colin Griffith. But anyway.
Yeah, that one, good Lord.
And it was an automatic life sentence for Todd. So the next part was just to see if he would be allowed to get a chance of parole. And he will get a chance. After 30 years, he will come up for a possibility of parole. Now, he has appealed this several times, tried to get a new trial. He's had evidentiary hearings, and he keeps getting shot down. And so that's where this one is. He's in prison. He'll be there till at least 2048. And this is one of those that people really went back and forth on, because some people really do think he's guilty and some people really do think he's innocent. He just, I guess, had a run of bad luck. So let us know what you think. Was it Todd? Was it the bird pipe? Was it the Bubba jug? Like, what did it? What did it?
It was Todd.
In the car.
In the car with the Bubba jug.
With the bird pipe. Yeah, it's really a whodunit. His kids are 100% behind him. And they're really stuck on that. We have lots of guns. Why would he not just do it at the house? There's a lot of reasons not to do it at the house. A lot.
Yeah, I mean, this one, it's just, I don't know. I guess he just lost his shit.
Now, I didn't throw this in there because it's not a fact that was like brought up in court or anything. Yeah. But there has been some reports that possibly that neighboring land, I think it was like 80 acres of land, that Todd was actually wanting to buy it. And I think one of the theories that came from that was that he took Barb there that morning and was talking to her about maybe possibly buying it. And she was like, no, we don't have the money for it. We're doing all these other things, blah, blah, blah. And they got into a fight and he just kind of rage snapped.
He too many coals in the fire or something like that. And she was trying to talk him to like, let's one project at a time.
Right. But it turned into something way worse. And he just snapped. That's what they're saying. It was a rage killing. But I don't know.
And that sucks.
That does suck very bad.
Yeah.
Now, if you like our content and want to contribute to the channel, there's lots of ways to do it. Number one is like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when a new episode drops. We do have a Cash App that you have access, or you have to access by our email. So it's dna.truecrime@gmail.com.
Yep. Or you can go to Buy Me a Coffee at buymeacoffee.com/MWTM. And don't forget to tell your friends.
Yeah.
Most of all, we look for is subscribers.
Yeah.
So if you know somebody, tell them. And hopefully they like our stuff just as much as you guys do.
Yeah, spread the word.
Till next time, guys. See ya.
Bye.